You don't have to slow down.
I got you. I got a bunch of this. I'll give it back for you.
It's not the rule of thumb. This is like me.
It's the like the clip in the back. Not a great start for me.
No, I would be surprised. Oh, okay. Like better drone now.
That's not there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, here, they just double-sided this is yours.
That's all good. It didn't say that. I was wondering what it was. Oh, I do. I have a lot.
Oh, yeah, I did for very years.
Thank you. I did for,
Now we will, I'm gonna, your homework.
Well, this is my bag, not this is through trials. I'm gonna be. But like, I don't need to be as oh, what is it? I need to copy the file.
I skipped class on Thursday because it was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any conflicts?
I do not.
Just so everyone knows, these doors do lock automatically, so it looks like the door stops there. You can all shut it if you walk allowed into the room. When you're allowed in the room, it's usually propped open, so you're not locked out. Thank you.
Once again, I don't have a seat.
Any conflicts for either of you?
No, I'm good.
All right, sounds good.
I'm sorry, I'm just worried about the solution to my issues. And I had an extra black pen that I could borrow.
Yeah, right here.
Here, I'll give you the pen. I just want to make sure they can see this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Defense, just making sure it's going to be crossed out. Your caller is going to be Indigo Quaid, Michael Lynn, and Charlie Martin.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, you are all clear to go. All up will be at 12:49.
Sure. Do we have any pretrial members?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning. My name is William Wynn, and I'm joined by my co-counsel, Nancy Mustafa
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
and Cheyenne Dorsey.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Together, we represent the state of Midlands, and are prosecuting the defendant, Charlie Martin. Now, before we move on, would you like defense to make pretrial or appearances as well before we move on?
Please.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Dominic Colombo, and this is my co-counsel. My name is Jeremy Smart, Your Honor.
Good morning.
My name is Claire Weston, Your Honor.
Good morning.
And we are defending Charlie Martin in this matter.
Just a couple things, Your Honor. First of all, we have a bench book containing case law, Midland rules of evidence, stipulations, special instructions, orders of the 9, and agenda for notes form for the issue of approach intent.
You may.
We'd like to ask your preference moving freely about the well during any examinations or statements.
You can freely move out the well. You can approach your own witnesses on the bench without asking. Please just ask before approaching opposing counsel witnesses.
Yes, sir. And we'd also like to ask, after an objection is sustained today, should we assume the any testimony stricken or make a motion to strike?
A motion to strike, please.
Yes, Your Honor. And pursuant to Rule 603 and 615 of the Midlands Rules of Evidence, the state moves from the constructive sequestration and swearing in of all witnesses, barring any party representatives.
Do you have any party representatives?
No, Your Honor.
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant, Charlie Martin.
So noted.
Now, there's some case law I'd like to draw your attention, or Your Honor's attention to. I believe it's on page 2. Can you read that, please? The first one is going to be State v. Barrow, which I apologize, it's on page 1, Your Honor. And essentially, this case states or describes reckless indifference as a depraved, a marked deviation from the standards of a law-abiding person. Now, I would also like to draw your attention to page 2 in State v. Arbuckle, which essentially says that only one act of recklessness is enough to prove that the defendant was acting with a depraved indifference to human life. And one more thing, we draw your Honor's attention to the stipulations.
Yep, there.
Correct. Stipulation 10 states that all objections to Exhibit 13 have been waived.
Oh, so noted.
And with that, the prosecution is ready to proceed.
And just before we proceed, for everyone in trial today, we're underneath a fan. So if everyone could just speak up a little bit, it would be greatly appreciated.
One more thing, for anyone who's doing examinations or anything, there's a huge tripping hazard right here. There's like a wire underneath this rug. Just be careful, guys, okay?
Perfect. Defense, any pretrial matters?
Yes, Your Honor. We would like to clarify the ruling in State v. Arbuckle on page 2. So while it does say that one act is enough to prove extreme indifference, it also says that most commonly, multiple acts are needed to prove the heightened mens rea needed for extreme recklessness.
Understood.
We'd also like to call your attention to another piece of case law, which is on page 3. And that's going to be State v. Bunker.
I'm there.
State v. Bunker says that temporary insanity is not a valid legal defense. However, the defendant is always permitted to offer evidence of their mens rea.
Understood.
And then one final case law on page 10 is Spear v. Vietnam Travel Agency.
We're there.
And what Spear v. Vietnam Travel Agency says is that Midlands requires no affirmative duty to help others, but you do have an affirmative duty to protect yourself from harm.
Understood.
And with that, we have no further pre-trial matters, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry. Where should we do it one? May my co-counsel approach to tender a character evidence form that both parties agreed upon?
This has been signed by you, prosecution?
Yes, John, before trial, we will review this.
Okay.
With that, we have nothing further, Your Honor.
Perfect. We have an opening for the prosecution.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
You may.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury, may it please the court. She wanted her moment, and it made her a murderer. It's April 6th, 2025, and Rob Armstrong is on a reality TV show called The Saboteurs, competing for $1 million. He's about to approach his last challenge, an obstacle course followed by a deep water dive in a lagoon. As Mr. Armstrong approaches the water, he brings his mask up to breathe, but what you'll learn today, members of the jury, is there was a poisonous chemical inside that mask, namely oxalic acid. That powder, it burns his mouth, it burns his throat, it burns his face, but Mr. Armstrong, he doesn't quit. So Mr. Armstrong, he puts that mask on, dives into the water, and for 15 minutes, he breathes that poisonous chemical in over and over and over again. Mr. Armstrong, he starts to become disoriented. So he rips off his mask, breathes in water. Mr. Armstrong, he drowns and he dies. But what you'll learn today, members of the jury, is that it was the defendant, Mrs. Charlie Martin, that put that poisonous chemical inside Mr. Armstrong's mask. And today, you'll learn why. Now, members of the jury, this wasn't the defendant's first time on the show. She had competed previously against Mr. Armstrong on season 2 of The Saboteurs. And she lost that season. After that, Mrs. Martin, she was humiliated for years. Her reputation was ruined. Her name was destroyed. And that's why, this time on season 10, the defendant knew she had to do whatever it takes to win. She had to get her TV moment. She wanted her moment, and it made her a murderer. Now, as the prosecution, we have the burden of proof in today's case, and we'll prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant killed Mr. Armstrong. What that means is we'll prove to you that the defendant committed a reckless act under the circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to human life. members of the jury, let's break that charge down into its two prongs. First, we must prove that the defendant committed a guilty action and that their actions were the cause of Mr. Armstrong's death, or the foreseeable outcome of those actions would be that he would die. And second, the defendant had a guilty mind. Now, normally when you think of murder, you think of intent, but under the law, murder doesn't always require intent. If we can prove that the defendant acted without care whether Mr. Armstrong lived or died, and the defendant's actions killed him, then she is guilty of murder. And we'll be meeting our burden today by proving 3 points. First, it was oxalic acid that killed Mr. Armstrong. Today, you'll be hearing from Dr. Atlas Hartley, the medical doctor who conducted Mr. Armstrong's autopsy. And she'll testify how the defendant died due to hypoxia induced by oxalic acid poisoning. Second, you'll be hearing from Mrs. Riley Kay, the TV show producer. And she'll testify how the defendant targeted Mr. Armstrong with sabotage over sabotage. And she did this to get her TV moment. And third, defendant was willing to hurt Mr. Armstrong to win. You'll also be hearing from Mrs. Nell Dews today, a game show star. And Mrs. Dews will testify how the defendant knew that oxalic acid was poisonous to Mr. Armstrong. And she did this to win the game. She wanted her moment, and it made her a murderer. Now, at the end of today's trial, my co-counsel, Ms. Cheyenne Dorsey, will come before you and she'll ask you for the only verdict that is consistent with the law and consistent with the facts. Find the defendant guilty of reckless indifference murder. Thank you.
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury, may it please the court. Today's case is about a script. A script that was written by the producers of the saboteurs, and the same script that was brought into this courtroom today by the state. We heard about a story. Season 10 of the saboteurs. It was hyped up. It was an all-star season. They brought back 2 biggest names in the game, Rob Armstrong and Charlie Martin. Why? Because they brought views. They brought attention. But today the show stops. Because we as the defense, we have a very important question, and that question is, was this, by law, murder? And I expect throughout the course of this trial, it will become apparent that the answer to that question is no. Because murder requires more than what the state has brought into this courtroom today. Now, there's no question that today's case is a tragedy. A life is lost. And that's something that we as the defense, we take very seriously. Something we also take seriously is the line that the law draws between a murder and a tragic outcome. Because murder requires more than a tragic outcome. Now, what does murder require? It requires mens rea, a guilty mind. And the state must prove to you that Charlie Martin possessed that guilty mind. They have the highest burden in our criminal justice system. When they brought the charge of first-degree murder into this courtroom, they agreed to meet it. And that burden sits right here. It never shifts, it never wavers, and I submit to you that they will fail to meet that burden. What do they have to prove? They have to prove that Charlie acted knowingly, purposefully, or with extreme indifference. Not just indifference, but extreme indifference to human life. Now, the state is trying to rip the context out of which Charlie Martin's actions occurred. On a sabotage game show, where informal sabotages were not just expected, they were part of the rules. They were inside of the rules of the game that Charlie Martin wanted to play. The game that she did play. Why? The state told you, because she wanted her moment. She wanted her moment to shine. And what did she get? Brought into this courtroom. To show you the context the state wants to preclude, we're going to call 3 key witnesses to the stand. We're first going to call Ms. Indigo Quaid. I expect you will hear from Ms. Quaid that reality TV is not really what it seems. It's fake. It's cut together by producers, what they want you to see. Next, we're going to call Dr. Mika Lynn to the stand, who is a clinical psychologist who evaluated Charlie Martin. And I expect that you will hear from Dr. Lynn that Charlie did not possess the guilty mind that the law requires. Lastly, we will call Charlie Martin himself. Charlie will tell you her story, her truth. At the end of this trial, it would become apparent that it's impossible for the state to meet their burden because they just don't have the evidence. Today's case is not about letting someone get away with murder. It's about the integrity of the law and refusing to call something murder when the evidence just doesn't support it. One of the cornerstones of our criminal justice system is the determination to arrive at the truth. I expect at the end of this trial, ladies and gentlemen, you can find what that looks like. My co-counsel, Dominic Lembo, will stand before you and ask you to deliver the only verdict that justice demands. And that's a verdict of not guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.
Is the prosecution ready to call their first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution calls Dr. Atlas Hartley to the stand.
Good morning, Ms. Hartley.
Good morning.
May I proceed?
You may.
Good morning. Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
Good morning. I am Dr. Atlas Hartley.
Dr. Hartley, what do you do for a living?
I am the Charlotte County Chief Medical Examiner.
Could you tell us more about your history in the medical field?
Sure. I received my bachelor's in forensic science and archaeology from the University of Central Florida. I liked Florida, good weather, so I went down to the University of South Florida for my medical degree. I did my residency at the Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center and finished off a fellowship at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office.
Dr. Hartley, do you know why you're here in court today?
I was appointed to do an autopsy and death determination on a game show contestant named Rob Armstrong. Now, Mr. Armstrong was a contestant on a show called The Saboteurs, and he had died during the last challenge, which consisted of a dive.
Well, let's talk about that examination. Did you rely on any facts or data?
Yes, I reviewed all of Mr. Armstrong's medical history records, conducted an internal and external examination as part of the autopsy. I did a tissue analysis of the kidneys and did a blood panel.
Was this data sufficient in helping you come to a conclusion in today's case?
Yes,
Did you apply any methods?
I used all of the standard techniques that were outlined by the National Association of Medical Examiners. They are the gold standard in my field, peer-reviewed, and they are highly reliable.
Did you apply this method reliably?
Yes, I have.
Dr. Hartley, can you come to a degree of scientific certainty regarding Mr. Armstrong's cause of death?
The most likely cause of death is drowning induced by oxalic acid poisoning. The medical evidence shows that the hypoxia and resulting panic felt by Mr. Armstrong during the dive resulted from inhalation of oxalic